And yet, the hard questions are not being asked to NATO, are not being asked to the European governments, and the wishful reporting of events unfortunately continues. We said yes to every single peaceful initiative that was proposed to us that did not precondition the Libyan choice. We said yes to the African roadmap. The rebels said no, no one condemned them, no one criticized them. We said yes to other peaceful initiatives. We welcomed any diplomats coming in to discuss any way out of this crisis as long as no one tries to decide Libya's future. You see, people find this difficult to accept. They want to come and tell you what your future should be. And we reject that. And then someone like a foreign politician will come out and say, okay, the Libyan government has lost legitimacy. We cannot deal with the Libyan government because it's not helping us establish peace. Well, if people are interested in peace, then they should accept and initiate the African roadmap. It's an inclusive, peaceful, democratic roadmap that was accepted and adopted by 55 African countries. That's our continent, that's the natural space for Libya, political space, geographical space, cultural space, legal space. No one is supporting the African roadmap. Not NATO, not the European Union, not the UN, not Russia, unfortunately. If you are interested in peace, then support the African roadmap. It has everything. It has the ceasefire, the humanitarian aid, the national dialogue, and the political transitional period. 4 steps of the road, not of the roadmap. It has everything. What it doesn't have is a preconditioning of peace and democracy. It doesn't say that person should leave the country, that person can stay, because it leaves this to the Libyan people to decide in a transparent, democratic, political process. Libyans decide who they want and what they want, not someone from outside Libya. Okay, and I thank you very much for listening to me. And now for the hard questions.
To start with,
name and institution, please.
Marcus Cutting from Stern magazine in Germany. You mentioned the trip to Az-Zawiya today. Could you explain why you chose only a few journalists to go there and not all of us? Because you say, as you say, we should go there and see with our own eyes. Instead, we're taking some.
No, that's a technical question. Yes, I agree that you have the right to ask it. But we are in a wartime. We have the right to decide, just as you would decide what is good for your newspaper and your channel. We have the right to decide what is good for our story in this time of war. Yet, this was a quick trip. I had to arrange it very quickly to go, because of course we're not saying that there is no violence whatsoever. We said there are people who are very small number of people who are causing some trouble west of Az-Zawiya. For that, we were able to arrange the trip of some of you. But as I said, today is Sunday, hopefully Monday, hopefully Tuesday, we will have this inclusive trip in all directions, starting from Tripoli and moving out, so you can see for yourselves how the whole belt around Tripoli is safe. And not just that, but how the local populations, the tribes, are going to meet. Because the tribes surrounding Tripoli, some of you know this by now, because some of you have been around before, and for those of you who don't know, we have arranged many, many trips to major Libyan tribes around Tripoli, and many of your colleagues have spent a whole day with these tribes. And these major tribes surrounding Tripoli are the main force, basically, the main geographical population and armed forces around Tripoli. And in your way, you will be able to meet the tribe of Al-Khums, of Zlitan, of Warfalla, of Garian, of Az-Zawiya, of Sirman, and you will see, first, these areas are secure. Secondly, the tribes of these population centers are indeed on the side of the legitimate government of this country. We have shown this, by the way, again and again before. We have arranged many tribes in these areas. Many of your colleagues spent a whole day with these tribes. They walk the streets. They talk to the tribal leaders. But do these stories get reported? Do they get centralized? No. People go there, spend the whole day with the tribe of Warfalla. They walk the streets of Bani Walid, the center of Warfalla. They talk to the tribal leaders, the young men. They talk to the women. And yet 2 days later, some 4 or 5 or 10 people make some trouble in Warfalla, and the reports say the whole Bani Walid is uprising against Gaddafi. Everyone forget that they spent a whole day there, and they walked every street in Warfalla, and they saw how the tribe of Warfalla, who, by the way, lost hundreds of its children, of its kids, to the NATO attacks and to the attacks by the armed rebellions. You see, this is a point people choose to ignore. Maybe, to start with, it was Gaddafi. But I assure you, now, with the deaths of thousands upon thousands of Libyans, either by the armed rebels or by NATO, now the blood is united. That's why I said to you a few days ago that the safety valve of this country is Gaddafi. If Gaddafi is no longer around, then expect a scenario close to Yugoslavia or Iraq or Somalia or any other country that was plagued by civil war. Now, it's not the war of Gaddafi. Now, it's the war of these Libyan tribes who lost their children because of the armed rebellion. Now, take an example of the tribe of Warfalla. It's a 1 million man strong tribe, totally armed. Take the example of Zlitan tribe. It's almost 300,000 strong tribe, totally armed. Al-Khums also. These 2 cities are just east of Tripoli. Take many other examples, the town of Sabha, of Sirt, of Jufra. These tribes are totally armed. If there was any popular rebellion against the government, these tribes should all invade Tripoli today. Weapons, people forget. I mentioned this before. One journalist asked me a question, why are you killing your people? The following question, he said, why are you arming people? I said to him, how could you arm someone you are killing? If you agree with me that we are arming the people, and you know, and you hear it all the time, weapons are everywhere in Tripoli. Weapons are everywhere around Tripoli. When you go to visit Zlitan and Khoms and these cities, please talk to the people and check that they have weapons. Now, men and women all have weapons in Libya. Now, if there is a popular rebellion against Gaddafi, against the government, why don't these people with weapons just converge on Tripoli? Because they are rallying behind the leader. You will not give weapons to a nation that is uprising against you. This is how simple the logic is. And I find it really frustrating when journalists talk to me and say, why are you giving weapons away? Why are you arming civilians? Why are you opening the arms storage houses to people? And then they ask me, or they report that we are killing our nation. You can't do both. If you are giving arms to the people, it means you trust that the people are with you. This is how simple the logic is of the whole situation. Yes, please? Okay. Yes, please.
Can you recount again the sequence of events
In Az-Zawiya,
how many rebels are involved? How many remain? How many were killed? How many were captured?
okay. I will not give you exact numbers. If you accept approximate numbers, I'll be able to. I'm waiting for a confirmation by the army. But as I said, the rebels, and do not say, it's not Az-Zawiya. It's a town near Az-Zawiya called Al-Mutrid. It's southwest of Az-Zawiya. And these people are not from the area. They are the rebels that our army pushed out of the western mountain. They could not escape to Algeria and Tunisia because now the Algerian and Tunisian armies are closing and securing the border better than before. They could not escape southbound because it's the desert and they will be exposed. The only way they could find is northbound towards Az-Zawiya. They attacked a checkpoint in the early hours of the morning. They killed, no, not today, yesterday. They killed, I believe, one soldier and one police officer. And then a battle took place between them and the army. Some of them were killed, some were captured. We believe their total number does not exceed the 100. And they are now mostly either killed or captured, with some of them still besieged just outside Az-Zawiya. Negotiations are in place from yesterday to ask them to surrender. They are really easy for the army to attack and destroy, but we always made a case of negotiating with these people to surrender. Some people were reporting that the same people we released are the ones who took up arms. But I assure you, the 800 cases of released fighters, none of them took up arms again. I welcome you, although your colleagues did this before, but I welcome you to meet and interview these 800 fighters. If you are interested, let us know. I will arrange it with my team for you to meet these fighters from Az-Zawiya, from Tripoli, from the near town cities. So you could check on their progress. You see, this is a nice positive story of the conflict. Someone took up arms, was captured, kept in prison for a month or two, talked to, and then with the tribal intervention, released, and they are still keeping their peace. They are not rejoining the rebellion. So this is a nice story for you to meet these fighters and ask them, why is it that they chose not to rejoin the armed rebellion? Oh, come on, guys. I can't walk the corridors. You keep asking me questions. Come on, you must have some questions now. Yes, please. Hi.
Moussa, I can feel sort of a frustration about what you got from feedback from our daily job.
Not every one of you.
Yeah.
No, I respect most of the things I read. I respect all of you. You are journalists. I have nothing for you but respect. But I do get frustrated when I read some reports that do not get the general picture. I agree that sometimes maybe when something breaks out, we need to rush you to the place of action so you can report immediately on that. But I have said before, I have apologized before, it's not always possible. This is a wartime. For me to take you sometimes to a place where a battle is taking place, we are not used to that. We do not know how to arrange it. Our army is not trained to protect journalists. Our security forces are not trained to help a group of journalists move into a war zone. You need special training for that. Your security is our responsibility. So usually we are able to get you in the aftermath of things. So we have to wait a day or two, or get you near the action, not inside the action, as some of you asks me to do. I apologize for this. This is the reality of things. We just have to accept it.
Yeah,
Yes, please.
Yeah. Sorry, to follow up about the sense that frustration about international reporting on Libya, which is growing. I've been told that there was a talk on that on Libyan television recently, and people would say that spying and it's more our job than reporting, and that creates.
Let me say this. I understand. Let me say this to you. Your security and your safety is a priority and is a must and is our responsibility. Myself and all of my team who work with you here, we have no doubt that this is our job and we will do it to the best we can, and we have been good at it for the last 4 months of your presence here in this country. The Libyan TV officially does not take any negative view of the foreign journalists.